Good morning. God, just talked. Good morning, Twitch.tv. Good morning to YouTube as well. And, of course, good morning, Mini Motorways. Let's go to Chiang Mai for today's daily challenge. We will have one roundabout, and that's it. And all destinations are much busier. How can we work under these conditions? How, I ask, if we only have one precious little traffic circle? What are we supposed to do with you? And only you? Oh, it is horrible. Sunflare Space was here first. Good afternoon, Sunny. I hope you are doing well. Scotty is here as well. Scotty4250 and Hulkamat. Hit that resubscribe button on the starting soon screen. Hulkamat with 44 months in the Goog troop. Damn near 4 years for Hulk Anthony Matt. It's not actually Hulkamat's middle name, but we'll go with it. 44 months in the Goog troop for Hulkamat. Thank you, Hulkamat, for that. Matt, of course, is able to drop all of the lovely tier 1 emotes that you see right there. Oh boy. Alright, so these pinks are coming up in pretty much the worst place. That's great. We'll take a bridge here. This is not actually the absolute worst, because we can futz with it, but there will need to be some futzing. So, you come over here, you slide in down like so, there. These pinks loop around the yellow houses into that business. This pink is not going to get to do anything. This yellow is now a circle. All destinations are going to be so much busier. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. These yellows, I'm fine having them on this green road because they're like emergency backup yellows. These three are going to be closer than these three, so I'm not too concerned about overlap here. These yellows are just going to be in case this yellow circle gets really busy. Then we're going to need to do something. Speaking of the general concept of we're going to need to do something, All Elite Wrestling. Listen, there is an entire cottage industry, and in many ways there has been an industry for the last 5 years in saying that All Elite Wrestling is dead, dying, in trouble, fucked, terrible, worthless, stupid, or bad. That has been an industry since probably before AEW existed. However, I just want to lay out some things. I'm just going to state some facts. We're just going to have a plain, simple conversation about All Elite Wrestling, wherein we state some facts about the television programs. Before we do that, though, we got to figure out a way to get greens over to here. And we do have greens going over here, but we also need greens to go over here. And I don't want the road that goes to this plaza also going to this business. That's going to be complifucky. So, let's see. I think the best way to do this is going to be over here. Let's say that we run like this, right? If we run like this, the problem here is that only means there. Okay. Well, not that connection, but so this has 2 greenhouses going over to here and 2 greenhouses eventually making their way over here. This green is going to do most of the Okay. Interesting. So if these greens are, and if you can't cut that corner. You can't cut this corner. I don't like having these greens spawn in here. Oh my god, I know what the answer is. It's time to drop our roundabout Ugh. It's time to put out our roundabout already. We have the greens and the yellows come here to this roundabout. We only get one. And we're gonna deploy it there already? I'm not sure that I love that. Here, let's take 30 road tiles. I probably could have gotten away with taking traffic lights there. Maybe create a perfectly cromulent traffic light situation going off this way, but, well, we'll deal with that in a minute. All right. So I'm just going to lay out some facts about All Elite Wrestling real quick. When AEW started, can you make a makeshift roundabout? Like just draw a circle of road like this? You could. It would not function the way roundabouts function in mini motorways. It absolutely would not. But like you could have like a road. You could absolutely create, something that looks like this. It would be a nightmare. I've never tried. It goes against all of my instincts, but I suppose it's possible. All things are possible. Hi there, Yellow Business. Oh! Scotty4250 with the Prime Gaming sub. 5 months in the Goog Troop Force. Scotty, thank you very much. Scotty4250 also continues to be able to drop the 1B1Rs, the Phoenixes, the Rips, the very helpful Triangles, Samurai Slams, Tallies, Hollands, what do we call those? The Onos? Yeah, those are the Onos, the Octo Roads. There we go. The GGs, the Ice Dragons, and of course, the Welkin Stairs. Thank you, Scotty. Always appreciate it when folks come in with the resubscriptions. Ow. I have stuff in my eye. It's fine. Also appreciate the Crab Raves. Thank you, Hulkamat. These two purples here look like they're going to be, well, I was going to say these two purples, but it's actually going to be these three purples. Boop, boop, and boop. Let's take this, and we'll draw motorway number 1. Doing that. Should be fine. All right, so here are several facts about All Elite Wrestling. When AEW started, Chris Jericho had himself a stable of dudes who, it was nice if they got over, but their main purpose in life was to support and enhance Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho was a main eventer, first world champion. This stable of dudes was called the Inner Circle. It had Santana and Ortiz. They're excellent tag team. It had Sammy Guevara, promising up-and-coming high flyer. It had Jake Hager, a generic muscle guy who WWE hadn't really used to his max potential. It was a fine and fun stable. It was good. Chris Jericho was the big, awesome heel world champion that AEW needed when they first started as a company. Nowadays, Santana and Ortiz broke up and might legit hate each other? I don't know. I know eventually Mike Santana got frustrated at only being known as Santana, and there was heat there, and I don't really follow the drama heat, but yeah, there was heat there. So Santana and Ortiz broke up and might legitimately hate each other, and Santana's not with the company anymore. He went to TNA. Ortiz, file not found. Hasn't been on TV in months, may or may not be with the company anymore. I legitimately don't know. Jake Hager just left the company this past week after being a generic muscle guy who eventually got recast as a comedy muscle guy. And Sammy Guevara, by God, they keep trying with him, and he keeps getting in his own damn way by being a shithead and getting hurt, and being a shithead and getting hurt, and getting his girlfriend pregnant, and getting hurt, and being a shithead and getting hurt. I think that's all the time Sammy Guevara's had to go on hiatus from AEW. That sounds about right. But they keep trying with Sammy Guevara, and he's currently on hiatus because his girlfriend, who's now his wife, had a baby. Congratulations. Good for you. Don't fuck it up next time you come back. So anyway, after a while, that group, added a dude and then broke up, and they had a feud, and it was fine and good and whatever. And Jericho was the first world champion, and then he went on to be an established upper mid-card heel, as one does. And then, eventually, there was another group called the Jericho Appreciation Society. And their purpose in life was to, enhance the image and standing of Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho wasn't a main event guy, but, he had some, they had a big stable fight with the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club, and that's cool and good. Had a really good feud with Eddie Kingston in there. A lot of good fun times were had with the Jericho Appreciation Society. It consisted of Hager and Guevara. They were in this one too. Plus Daniel Garcia, who AEW occasionally remembers that they had an inkling of wanting to start pushing. He never wins anything, but occasionally they have an inkling of remembering that they wanted to push him. And it had a couple of comedy geeks in Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker, who were a comedy geek tag team, replacing Santana and Ortiz, the awesome kick-ass tag team. So the comedy geek tag teams were, the comedy geek tag team was a pair of comedy geeks. Oh, it also had Anna Jay. She was a hot chick. She was in it. Yeah. So, as previously stated, Hager's no longer in the company, and Guevara is currently on hiatus because his wife had a baby. Congratulations. What are we gonna do with this pink down here, by the way? There's no good answer. I have several bad answers. I think the best of my bad answers is to just draw a ridiculously overlong road and hope something sorts itself out in a minute. So Hager's no longer with the company, and Guevara's not presently with the company, but he'll presumably be back eventually. Stands to reason. And Anna Jay is somewhere. She's on TV occasionally. She never wins anything, and she isn't any good, but she's on TV occasionally. And hey, she's only been wrestling for like 3 years now, and it's been entirely in AEW. So if you've been wrestling for 3 years and have only been wrestled in AEW, Anna Jay's had like 45 matches. That's not a lot of matches. So Angelo Parker turned babyface. Kind of broke up his tag team with Matt Menard. I don't know. They don't hang out anymore. I don't know if there's a reason for that, but eventually Angelo Parker moved into an angle where he was basically just getting the shit kicked out of him by Saraya's shitty brother. That happened for weeks. Like, there was a weeks-long, I use this term very generously, feud between Angelo Parker and Zach Knight, who I previously referred to as Saraya's shitty brother and will continue referring to as Saraya's shitty brother. He's Saraya's brother and he's shitty. That's all you need to know about him as both a wrestler and a person. Anyway, so Angelo Parker had a weeks-long feud with Saraya's shitty brother that mostly consisted of Saraya's shitty brother kicking Angelo Parker's ass. And now, I think Angelo Parker's on hiatus to take care of his pregnant wife? Possibly? I don't know. Angelo Parker's IRL romantic partner got IRL pregnant, and also she's a wrestler, so she's off TV. And Angelo Parker's not on TV anymore. And Matt Menard is a babyface commentator manager type now, who occasionally hangs out with Daniel Garcia, who, as previously mentioned, actually Daniel Garcia was in the JAS, not the Inner Circle. Oh well. But as previously mentioned, AEW occasionally remembers that they had vague interests in maybe someday pushing Daniel Garcia. So, every once in a while he shows up on TV and says, "This is the time I'm gonna win," and then he doesn't win. But, one of these times is gonna be the time he wins. Hopefully. Probably. I'll even go so far as to say probably. Let's take a motorway. All right, I know that we can get from these pinks to this pink with only the power of our minds or whatever, but this is kind of ridiculous. We got to restructure this pink nonsense. This stuff has got to go down here. Here's what we're gonna do. This is the smart and good thing we're gonna do. We're gonna take these 5 pinks right here. we're going to hop these 5 pinks on motorway number 3 into this pink circle, right? This pink circle is presently dying on account of lack of support anyway, so it's fine. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Ow. Fuck. Okay. So, boop, boop, and boop. Shit. I just realized my plan doesn't work. Sunflare Space has redeemed a stretch.
Oh, everybody stretch. Everybody stretch. Oh, big stretch. Oh, big stretch. Oh, big stretch.
Oh. Ow. Okay. I have a new plan. I'm supplementing my plan. Here. So we're going to put all of these greens on this road. And you may be wondering, Goog, what happened to not wanting to put the greens on the green road here? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do this, which creates a perfectly cromulent traffic light over here and saves me a bridge so as to recontinue my pink plan. Yes, I did just say recontinue. It's fine. Motorway number 2 is going to slide over this way, grab these 3 light blues. That's going to be better for everyone. So, yeah, every once in a while, AEW remembers that they had vague intentions on pushing Daniel Garcia, and I believe that they do have vague intentions on pushing Daniel Garcia. That's almost the same thing as believing that they will eventually actually push Daniel Garcia, right? Anyway, these pink businesses here, U2 is a band. These 2 pinks right here are going to swing in like so. These 3 pinks here, boop, boop, and boop, are going to take over the support of this business. These 3 pinks over here, I don't have anything for them. Sorry. While we're here, we've got these light blues. They can just slide into that business. Now, this pink circle is mad. Are you mad for a good reason or a stupid one? I think it was just, excuse me, I think it was just a transitional, hey, my fuck's all fucked type of madness. And I think they're actually fine now. Okay. So the JAS had Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker and Hager and Guevara and Daniel Garcia and Anna Jay. And eventually they just kind of went their separate ways. And by this point, Jericho wasn't a main eventer, but he was still a reasonably credible upper mid-card heel, and they had some nice feuds with guys, and it was all fine and good. And by the way, this yellow right here is going to be a major fucking problem if... Actually, no, there is no if. That just is a major fucking problem, actually. What are we going to do about that, I wonder? I've got no real solution. Huh. Well, I have a handful of vague ideas. It's almost as good as a solution. Doot. Let's add more light blues over here. Am I just going to ask you to be okay for another? Oh, you just got angry. I can't really afford to have you sit on your ass and wait. Shit, and shove me in it. Okay. I think we're going to have to rob. Yeah, we're going to have to fuck something over for a second. Okay. This pink circle is a circle and therefore more inclined to survive temporary overfucking. So we're going to take all of the pinks away from this and then use its motorway to schlep these 3 yellows over here to just sustain this for a while. Okay. So now we've got a bridge. One single solitary bridge, huh? That's not enough bridge. I need more bridge than that. I don't think I'm going to get more bridge than that, but I do need more bridge than that. So, you see my problem. Alright, well, this one purple house can at least keep this from dying for a while, which is something. Now, I have no guarantees, by the way, that this yellow business is actually going to be fine, because like we still have to get this pink car to come over here, which will allow motorway number 3 to slide over this way, and then these 6 cars have to ferry out of their house, get over here, get into this business and keep it from dying, then get back to their houses and get back here to keep it from dying again. So this could all be a moot point. Let's establish that this isn't a moot point. Nothing's going to die in the 9 seconds it's going to take me to do this, other than the thing that might die anyway. And if the thing that might die anyway just dies, then there's no point in going nuts about stuff. This purple business right here was going to die, so this pink circle is already angry. Okay, all right, listen. Here, we're going to do this. That's going to be fine. This yellow business is also angry, so we're going to divide and conquer with these yellow houses. Totally going to be fine. Hundo P not going to kill anything. Speaking of Hundo P not going to kill anything, let's kill everything. We're going to run this over here. Wait, actually, hold on. I need more access than I currently have. Because we need... I've got pinks here. Okay, let's think this through. I can put the yellows into the northeast spur, which frees up the northern spur. And if I have the northern spur free, this pink can access the northern spur. But I need more spurs than I currently have. Because you need to access the... Well, actually, hold on. There's nothing saying these can't share, right? Like, if you just come in here and access... Here, you go to the southern spur. You go to the southern spur. You're going to have to come here. All of y'all go to the southwestern spur, right? The western spur then dips down, comes up here into the plaza. The northwestern spur goes out and over like so. I'm out of road. No, I'm not. I see no problems here. I see no issues whatsoever. What are you talking about? There are no problems here. We don't have problems. Why would you even suggest that we have problems? I find it rude and offensive that you might even suggest that we have problems. So the JAS broke up, and Jericho kind of floundered for a while, but now there's a new stable. It doesn't really have a name yet. It might just be called the Learning Tree, but it consists of Chris Jericho, who by this point is no longer a main eventer and also no longer really an upper mid-carder, but just kind of floats around the mid-card doing stuff because, well, he's Chris Jericho and AEW has decided that he's useful to their television program. Big Bill, who is on his second repackage in AEW. Yeah, I think so. He at first he was just a generic muscly mercenary guy. This is all falling apart at less than 1,000. I hate Chung Mai. 990, huh? That's not a good number. That's a small number. That's a tiny number. And yet it's top 40% in the world, but not quite as good as Samurai Sam. Ever so slightly less impressive than the score put up by Samurai Sam, it must be said. So Big Bill, former World Tag Team Champion, last seen as the less talented tag team partner of Ricky Starks, a phenomenally wonderful wrestler who AEW plucked from the independent scene and looked like they were ready to strap a rocket ship to, but then just kind of stopped. You know, Ricky Starks, the exact kind of wrestler All Elite Wrestling seemingly was created to turn into a megastar. just not doing anything with him. He's around. He shows up every once in a great while to lose a feud to somebody. Yeah, that guy. So Big Bill is with Jericho now, and the bounty hunter Brian Keith, who is an interesting, promising little indie guy who, hasn't really done anything of substance in AEW, but shows up to lose every once in a while. Yeah, he's in there too. And they're feuding with Taz's kid over Taz's kid's vanity belt, which had previously been Taz's vanity belt. This is a factual statement, really. There's some minor editorializing going on in there, but that's a factual statement, really. Here, final. The Wordle could be final. It's not, but, apparently today's Wordle sucks, because I saw someone post a Wordle in a Discord server I'm in, and they got no letters on their first 3 guesses, and Scotty says that they hate today's Wordle too, so it's bad, apparently. Let's see here. It could be... it can't be Mount, because there's no N. It could be Court. Could absolutely be Court. It's not, but there's a U. Huh. Okay. It can't be Usurp, because there's no R. Huh. Here's another just factual statement about All Elite Wrestling while I try to think of a word. It's not going to be Muses, just because it's a plural version of a 4-letter word, and that's not a thing they do. But... so it's been well established that Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, are executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling. That's a true fact. That's not even like storyline. Also in storyline, they are executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling, but is a true fact. And in storyline, they've kind of seized power in the company a little bit, because they and their buddies beat the shit out of Tony Khan and then beat the shit out of Kenny Omega. And by wrestling logic, if you beat the shit out of someone who has power, they don't have power, and you have power. That's not really how things work, but they're executive vice presidents, and they've beaten the shit out of guys with other guys with power, so they're taking over the company, or whatever. Okay, that's fine. It's an angle that's been done in wrestling many times before, but sometimes it's good, and the Young Bucks and their toadies are generally entertaining performers. It could be muddy. It could absolutely be muddy. It could be musky. Could be musky. It's not, but we're getting somewhere, and there's totally an M in there. It could be gummy. Like the worms? It's gummy. Like the worms. Title of the episode, Like the Worms. So the Young Bucks have seized power in AEW. And that's fine. Again, it's a thing that's been done in wrestling, and it's a thing that WWE spent like 15 years exploring various avenues of, and continues to have vestiges of, even if it doesn't make any sense anymore. But okay, heel authority angle. You know what? The two biggest phenomenons in wrestling in the past 30 years, the NWO and Stone Cold Steve Austin, were both born out of heel authority angles. So it's okay. You can do one of those. It's fine. One of the things that the Young Bucks did was they beat the shit out of and in storyline fired Christopher Daniels. And listen, if you're a very long-time fan of All Elite Wrestling, you probably knew who Christopher Daniels was going in. He was a very established, longtime independent wrestler, very well respected in the business. He was part of the stable that led to AEW's first ever tag team champions. He's a very well respected dude. Additionally, on television, to fans who have just watched the AEW product for the last 5 years, Christopher Daniels is a geek. He's a guy who loses a lot. He's an old guy who lost and cried about it and got sent packing. And then, years later, came back for revenge and lost and got sent packing. He is, in fact, a man with no credibility whatsoever. And you might know that he has some vaguely defined backstage job. I know that at one point in real life, Christopher Daniels was AEW's head of talent relations. I don't know if that is still true. I know he has some backstage role. But if you just watch the product and you don't pay attention to all of the bullshit backstage, which you shouldn't, Christopher Daniels is a geek and a loser who shows up and gets beaten every once in a while, and we're supposed to like him because he's old. That's it, right? So this past week, last night on Dynamite, the Elite are coming out and running the show, and a guy got hurt, and unimportant to the story, there's a vacant title in AEW, and they were gonna just hand it to their buddy Jack. And Christopher Daniels comes out. Christopher Daniels, by the way, guy who got fired 2 weeks ago. Guy who got the shit beaten out of him 2 weeks ago. Guy who got the shit beaten out of him and fired 2 weeks ago. Christopher Daniels comes out in a button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up and a stupid tie that he's wearing too long. He looks ridiculous. Christopher Daniels comes out and says that he has been appointed an interim executive vice president by Tony Khan. Tony Khan, incidentally, owner and CEO of All Elite Wrestling, guy who got the shit beaten out of him by the Young Bucks, but also guy who has since made his return to television. Guy we saw on TV at the pay-per-view when he and Martha Hart introduced the Owen Hart tournament. Guy who we saw on TV last week when he drove Darby Allin to the arena. Guy who is very much alive and not dead and capable of making his own damn decisions and announcements. Tony Khan has instead appointed Christopher Daniels, this bald-headed old loser fuck geek, as an interim executive vice president who also apparently has decision-making authority and can indeed overrule decisions made by the Young Bucks so as to create a wacky convoluted, it's not a wacky convoluted tournament, but he sure as hell made it sound like a wacky convoluted tournament to fill out the vacancy in the title, and the last thing AEW needs is more wacky convoluted tournaments. It was a terrible segment, and it indicates very bad things about the future of the company. All Elite Wrestling does not need a babyface authority figure to valiantly struggle against the heel authority figures. It does not need that in any sense, and it especially does not need that guy to be Christopher Daniels, thoroughly established jobber loser geek. Okay, there may have been a little bit more editorializing there, but my main point stands. You cannot, as a company, have a creed and a motto where your slogan is All Elite Wrestling, where the best wrestle, yet at the same time have the main angle and storyline of your company be two of the guys who had power in the company have seized power from the other two guys who had power in the company, and they're fighting about it, and the two guys you're supposed to like who had power in the company have appointed a third guy who has power in the company, and now he's gonna fight against and ultimately lose to the two bad guys who have power in the company. You can't do that. If your slogan's going to be where the best wrestle, your main storyline should be something like the world champion who's the best wrestler is going to fight this guy named Will, who's a fucking awesome wrestler. This guy named Will, who's a fucking awesome wrestler, hasn't lost since he got here. This guy named Swerve, who's our world champion and is a fucking awesome wrestler in his own right, is a fucking awesome wrestler. They're going to have a fucking awesome wrestling match, and also, over the next few weeks, they're going to develop some personal animosity for each other. We're going to want you to pay to see them fight for the world title, which is the most important thing in wrestling because it tells you who the best wrestler is. We're the best wrestle. But hey, it's not like AEW was much more successful and watched and popular years ago when they were built around wrestling than they are now when they're built around whatever it is they're built around. Let's play Connections. I didn't intend to totally shit on AEW today. I still like AEW, but oh my god, AEW. So, I'm looking at these words and I can't find anything. It's a lot of angry muttering about that. Yeah, okay, if you have clout and weight and sway and pull, you have power in an organization, like we're supposed to believe that Christopher fucking Daniel... Okay. So, a bob, a crop, and a fade are all haircuts? Okay, I think we're getting there. So that would be shag then? Yeah, shag is a haircut? Okay. I know shaggy is an adjective that can be used to describe hair, but all right. And as Samurai Sam and Sunflare Space have noted, rob, sack, loot, and raid all mean steal, pillage, plunder. There you go. And then safety, bobby, push, and hair are pins. Yay! Hooray for completing Connections. Now let us strands, and we will pump it up like the new sneakers that the Young Bucks have, available at Champs Sports. Listen, it's nice that the Young Bucks have designer shoes. It's good. It's good. It's fine. It's good. It's also funny that they're available at Champs Sports. So if you pump it up, Sam has found both chunk and chunky, which may or may not be a theme word. We'll see. Chunky is a theme word. Okay. So, let's see here. Yeah, you can knock up here. So what would the theme be for pump it up and chunky? You don't pump peanut butter. That's weird. B-A-N... Oh, is it about heels? Because Sunflare Space saw stiletto. So, oh, there it is. S-T-I-L-E-T-T-O. And here's wedge. Okay, so this is women's shoes, footwear. That sort of thing. So, yep, here's the spangram right here. High heels in the middle. Boop and boop. So, here's kitten. Kitten heels are a thing. Cuban. I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with Cuban heels, but okay. And then these are just... Is this two words? Is this block and then cone? Okay. Sure. That is a perfectly done strands game. Thank you for the help. And for today's Immaculate Grid, we need dudes who played shortstop, Angels, Mets, Tigers, Reds, and dudes what accumulated 6 or more wins above replacement in a season. A dude who has played shortstop and accumulated 6 wins in the season is Mookie Betts. Imagine if you had Mookie Betts on your team and then you traded him. How silly would you be if you had a player such as Mookie Betts and then you decided, actually, no, we would rather not have Mookie Betts? What kind of stupid, worthless organization would make such a decision? Anyway, I'm not entirely positive that Pedro Martinez had a 6-WAR season with the Mets. Like, I know he was good for a couple of his years there, but 6-WAR is like good, and I'm not certain about that. I'm more confident that Jacob deGrom had a 6-WAR season with the Mets. There you go. Jacob deGrom, good pitcher. Good pitcher, Jacob deGrom. Can't fucking keep his arm healthy, but good pitcher. Understatement of the century, Jacob deGrom is good. An Angel who had a 6 or more win above replacement season, the obvious ones are Trout and Ohtani. Pedro had 7 WAR total or in a season? Maybe he had a 7-win season. That's possible. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Good for him. Good for Pedro Martinez. Excellent starting pitcher, Pedro Martinez. An Angel who had a 6 or more win above replacement season. Do I want to be cheeky and say someone like Jim Edmonds, who was, a really good hitter and also a center fielder, so they'll give a high positional adjustment there? That seems a little bit cheeky. Let's play it a little safer than that while still going old school and say, what do you mean Ron Carew didn't have a 6-win season with the Angels? He's a fucking Hall of Famer. What do you mean he didn't have a 6-win season with the fucking Angels? Anger. Well, at least my first cheeky thought was going to be wrong, too. Grumble, 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 complain. The Detroit Tiger who played shortstop is Jose Iglesias. A Cincinnati Red who played shortstop is also Jose Iglesias, but we can't use the same guy twice, so instead we'll just say Ellie De La Cruz. Curses foiled again, would have gotten away with it, weren't for you meddling kids, etc., etc., etc. Justin Verlander is a Met who was also a Tiger, and I don't know. Y'all. I think Bobby Higginson played for the Angels. That strikes me as correct. Oh, it's not correct. Oh, how about that? I think Sean Figgins played for the Tigers. That strikes me as correct. Oh, hey, that's incorrect. Curse is foiled again. Would have gotten away with it. You know the rest. All right. So that was an immaculate grid. It was not immaculate, suffice it to say. But I don't have a but, except to say later tonight we will be back with more great Ace Attorney Chronicles. For those on YouTube, there will be more Baldur's Gate 3 later today. Folks, come on back for those, and also tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock Eastern, for another edition of Good Morning Mini Motorways. Until then, thank y'all so much for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.